You're slowing down too much on that first section, I think. But I don't know.
Because I'm going to bottom out on that rock. Try it again.
So, first thing in the morning, still pretty dark out, but we are just about ready to pull out. Gotta grab the dog, throw her in, and grab the boy, he's still in bed. Hit the trail. Alright, Backroad Explorers, we're getting ready to take off on a little overnight trip. It's Friday. We're gonna go about 70 miles on the dirt today, and then about 80 miles on the dirt tomorrow, and we have about 120 miles to get there. So we're gonna go down and do some exploring around the San Rafael Swell and the Dirty Devil area, so let's hit the road. The first leg of the trip is all on pavement through Spanish Fork Canyon along Highway 6. The snow was absolutely beautiful, but I have to admit I was getting a little worried the closer we got to Huntington about how much snow would be on the trail. San Rafael Swell Recreation Access, that's where we want to go. Once we hit the trail, everything just felt right. I had my adventure companions in the back, over 70 miles of trail ahead, and a full day of adventure to look forward to. The first portion of the trail was just wide open dirt roads. They were still soft from all the melted snow, and as you can tell, some areas, mostly offshoot trails, still had snow on the ground. But outside of drastically underestimating how deep this little puddle was, things went really smoothly. Occasionally things got a little squirrely, but for the most part, it was just a lot of fun. So incredible. You go just a few miles down the trail, it's pretty open and flat, and as you start kind of dropping into the valley a little bit, you start getting some of these big beautiful rocks, and you're starting to get down in this little canyon, and it's just really incredible out here. We found ourselves stopping too often, yet not nearly enough to truly take in and appreciate the beautiful landscape we were covering. As you can see, the trail was pretty muddy at first. However, the further we got into the San Rafael Swell recreation area, the drier the ground got and the more fun we had checking out the amazing scenery. Just barely made it through. Some pretty interesting spots. Got a little nervous, got a little muddy, getting a little soft, definitely, as I'm out here. Just my son is definitely not a place I want to get stuck, so. It's just gorgeous. So we're at the Old Spirit Historic site here. You can see there's some old buildings here, and there's a couple different, there's a little trail that goes down on this side, but the buildings right here, and they used a lot of this, rock to help build up the road and where they were going to go. So, really cool. Can't imagine what it would have been like to be out here building a road, or building a railway, excuse me. They have some markers here to kind of help define where it's at. This right here is just some of the great terrain that this trail has to offer. Narrow little canyons like this. Back on the trail, I couldn't help but think about how tough those people must have been to attempt to build a railroad out here. Jagged, rough rocks, rolling hills, hot climate in the summer, and freezing cold climate in the winter, and yet they pushed forward, making incredible progress. No matter how much I explore southern Utah, I'm always amazed at how much history lies in these hills. I can only imagine what stories they could tell, the history of the people they have seen, and the trials they saw people overcome. There were a few sections of trail that made me pretty nervous, none of which would have been an issue at all had the ground not been so muddy. Despite taking the first leg of the trip solo, I knew my brother had my route and was instructed to start backtracking from Green River, Utah along the route until he found me either stuck or broken down if he had not heard from me by nightfall. I did run into an interesting spot where a truck came through and dug a big rut. I couldn't keep my rig up on the hill and out of the rut without sliding into the bank on the left. After making a couple of attempts by backing up a few feet each time and starting to move forward, I started to wonder if I was going to be able to make it without a lot more momentum, which would end up damaging the front of the rig. After another failed attempt, I decided to get a better run at it and put a little more speed to the pedal to power through. Luckily, we were able to get enough traction and bounce through without causing any damage to the rig. We're on the Spanish Trail, which was used from 1800 to 1850. And as you can see, this is just absolutely incredible. Really cool. We've been following along these rolling hills. You can see some big trees and stuff right here because there's actually a spring, well, not a spring, there's a creek that comes through right here. We made pretty good time through the rest of the day. It's always hard to gauge how long it will take to cover ground. With 70 miles of trail, it's hard to know if it's going to take 10 hours or 3 hours depending on the terrain. Overall, it took us about 6 hours, which included stopping to explore, take pictures, and shoot video. We also stopped a few times to let Wyatt stretch his legs and make Molly run some. I wanted to get to Green River before dark so that we could eat dinner and then find a nice place just outside of town to camp in preparation for Mike's family to join us that night on the trail. Well, we just got to our campsite just outside of Green River, Utah. And we're going to stay here the night. My brother's going to meet us here. He'll probably be here in about 2 hours or so. Wyatt's just over there playing, loving having some time to stretch his legs and play with the toys. We're actually going to be sleeping in the Land Cruiser. I've already set up the beds in there, so that's why you don't see a tent or anything. But just with the two of us, it's easy and nice for me to be able to keep him warm since it is February. But nice little beautiful spot. The river's just on the other side over there. And so you got these nice big trees, even though we're definitely out in the desert right now. So far day one has been a total blast. Looking forward to hitting the trail tomorrow.